to AchieveRadio.com. A new drummer for a new awakening.
I'm Anne Marie, and thank you very much for showing up today. Those of you that will be listening at the History Archives, we are here for you as well. And Joseph, how are you today?
Hi, Anne Marie. How are you doing? I'm fine. It's really windy outside. It's too windy to be enjoyed, actually. Out here, I am, in between Champaign, Illinois, and Chicago. So there's a lot of cornfields, and it's very windy. There's not much to block it, you know. I can't hear you all of a sudden. I don't know why that is.
Huh.
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I wasn't interrupting you, first of all.
No, well, actually, I want people to understand that, no, we don't really interrupt each other at all. It's just that sometimes there's a delay in the sound, and I don't hear Anne Marie sometimes until a second later.
Yep. And, I was going to add to the windy day, I have some giant wind chimes. They're beautiful. They have deep, deep tones, but even on a windy day like this, they're a little bit much. And they just gong, gong, gong. And I can kind of imagine how my neighbors are looking at it, but I try to be.
I like those. My brother has huge, huge wind chimes that are like, 6 feet tubes of brass or whatever, but they opted to have them hanging in the arch of their living room to control that. But it's a very mellow sound. I like it. It's not tinkly. It's a very deep and soothing sound. I enjoy that.
Well, for me, my son found him. He knew I collected chimes, and he goes, Mom, he says, you have to check out, Shields. I don't know if you've ever heard of Shields. It sells sporting goods and things like that, and they have a huge tree in the middle of the store and a kind of a glass dome. And the chimes were hanging from the top dome down through the cathedral, and they were like stopping right at the top of people's heads. So you can imagine how big they are. They're about 10 foot long, maybe. Anyway, he says, you have to get them. And I said, yeah, right. Now, how am I going to pay for those? Well, guess what I did? I put them on layaway, and
actually, that's a good way to get things. That was the very first time I had ever bought on credit, so to speak. I was a teenager, and I wanted this really nice portable stereo. It's the kind of thing you don't see anymore. But I put it on layaway, and it was a very safe way to buy on credit. They hold on to it until you're finished making your payments. And it's a good way to build credit if you're just starting out,
Absolutely. And so I it took about 5 of us to haul these huge chimes and then kind of get a great big pickup truck, and we hung them on a kind of a high branch and a big old tree. And they survived the 2011 tornado when the
Wow.
teepee that was close by did not. I used to have a ceremonial size teepee, and that blew away. But the wind chimes did fall, but they survived the tornado. So,
I remember your video that you took of the
oh yeah.
aftermath of that, and it's stunning, the destruction, and plus, and like you called some of these things twisted structures, twisted art
Oh, they
sculptures.
are.
Yeah.
Tornadoes that make amazing sculptures.
hmm We've had some pretty good ones out here. Luckily, it has not hit this little town yet. That's why, hey, you got to have a basement. You got to have a storm shelter. You don't know. I mean, it would be. It's not a place where I'd want to live in a trailer home.
No,
Or a slab house where I have no place to go down below.
no.
People that live out here know it's like if you're going to build a house or buy a house, you need that basement or you need that storm cellar. You have to think about the region you're in, and this area here has been dubbed Tornado Alley. I mean,
Oh,
they
wow.
this happens all the time, and I've been lucky that it hasn't gotten me yet. But we have a basement, so that's something, and that's
I
a good thing to have.
I've been in two tornadoes. I was in one when I was a little girl and in my grandfather's house in Baxter, Iowa. And I remember that mom was laying on top of her bodies, and we all ended up in the broom, this old musty, smelly, spider webby broom cellar, and
hmm
or closet. The tornado took the house off the foundation, but when my sister, who was pretty young then, we said, no, don't run out of the closet yet, and she did, and she fell in the foundation that
Oh,
was that used to be where the house was. So we had neighbors, and they took ropes and got my sister out. And then there was all of the cutting down or the chopping up of the trees that had fallen all over. So it's a crazy thing.
well, I grew up in an old frame house in Lyons, Illinois, and we had a tornado go through. It was heading right for Lyons when I was a child. I was in school at the time, and they had us all in the school basement. But it's a brick building, so if we could have gotten crushed by the falling bricks if you know, and we were lucky that it did not dip down. It went up as it went over line. It skipped us, and then it wiped out the next town. And it was a
Wow.
very freaky thing, but we were lucky. That was the closest near miss that I've experienced with weather like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you always, well, what tornadoes do to people is not nice. It
But
just
you don't
basically.
want to be in one. You're not going to survive. That's all. That's it. Because everything people don't think about. We watch movies like Twister, and we see them running, and just debris and picket fences flying behind them because it's all blue screen digital imagery and stuff like that. But in real life, if dirt hits your face at 50 miles an hour,
What face?
you're going to be dead. It's not it's you not, pebbles, anything flying at you, it's like bullets. We're talking about massive wind speeds in a wind tunnel. And that doesn't even include a person being thrown into a tree or spun off and whipped against something. I mean, that debris flying. It's like knives. Everything is just at such a high speed. People don't really have a realistic view of that because of these types of movies that we see. It's like, oh, they survived, and there's debris flying all around them, and they tied themselves to some water pump, or something. It's like, yeah, well, okay, they might have been secured by the water pump, but the debris would have killed them. It would have cut them up and dismembered them. That's how it would have been
Yeah,
in real
that's the thing,
life.
and it
Yeah,
can twist. It can actually twist people up. I've heard, and
absolutely. So it's like, people say, oh, I want a storm chase, just like in that movie. It's like, Um, no, you don't do that. Stay away from the
Ah.
tornadoes.
Well,
Yeah.
tell me about the dream that you had.
Well, the other day I had a dream about it was a strictly visual thing. I was watching these horses in the field, and they had wings, and they didn't look like Pegasus. You know how we always see pictures of Pegasus with these white wings. These were ordinary brown horses. Brown to chocolate, tan, but their wings were beautiful shades of brown, and they were just gorgeous, and they were just flying all over the place, frolicking and flying all over, and it was really a beautiful image. And I remembered thinking while dreaming is wow. That was my reaction, and that was it. Now I know that animals have meanings in dreams, for dream interpretation purposes, and there's plenty of books and there's plenty of stuff on the internet about that. um, I don't really believe it was about anything, but I sometimes have the notion that I um, mentally or spiritually slip into another dimension at times when I dream with some dreams, because everything is so unusual. And there's also a sense of reality to these dreams. I could tell the dream that's influenced by something I've seen on TV. It shows up right away. If I was watching Nova or something, I know I'm going to see stuff that's related to it, especially if it's just before bedtime. Um, and I can also tell about symbolism. If something's been bothering me on my mind, I can easily see the symbolism. And really, anybody can if you really stop and think about your dream and how it makes you feel when you wake up.
Right.
That, you know, um, you know.
Well, I
But
when I when
this
I
this I think was interdimensional. Really, I really do think that it was. Um,
when I grew up,
it-
my mother always said, if you have a problem, consciously say in your before you go to sleep, I would like my dreams to give me the answer.
yes,
And
your
and
subconscious is
and
very
I was taught
wise.
that ever since I was a little girl. And I have used dreams to answer questions, even though I was also told, and I later, through study of dreams and stuff, it isn't always an instantaneous answer. Sometimes
No.
it happens in the shower. You get the
Hmm.
bam, there it is, the answer. Or you can get it, sometimes when you are just in the middle of work or doing something that has nothing to do with thinking about it. It's always when you're not thinking about it that the answer comes. But I
Yeah,
have
later
always
in the
used,
day. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
have
I've
used it for creative inspiration. I've used it dreams for problem solving, and sometimes, like I said, sometimes the dreams are just simply like a parallel existence. To realize in the dream that you recall something happening at an earlier date that only exists within that dream realm. I always thought that was unusual, and that's what led me to believe that some of those dreams are actually a parallel life that currently exists, as there are many, and people don't
right.
really realize it. But if you're in a dream and you're thinking to yourself, oh, yeah, just like, a few years ago when, oh, wait a minute, that didn't happen. It did not happen in this waking reality. But for some reason, you have this memory of something happening in a dream while you're dreaming. So and there's a sense of reality about the whole thing. And, but yes, getting back to the using it for problem solving, it does work. You mentally tell yourself, as you said, before sleeping, that you want a solution to this problem and that you need to come up with something. And your subconscious is very wise. Our subconscious knows so much more than we consciously know, and that's why dreaming is important. That's the way that those two parts of the brain communicate. The subconscious knows no timelines. That's
Right.
why sometimes dreams are prophetic. because you got a glimpse of the future, because your subconscious is not bound to night and day and the time that we have, the times that we follow. When you dream, you have access to time becomes non-linear, so to speak, and it's irrelevant. So that's why a lot of times people have dreams of the future. It's because
Right.
there's no timeline. It doesn't matter in a dream. So that's how sometimes I don't have too many prophetic dreams, and if I do, I don't remember them when I wake up. But every now and then there is something that pops in where I go, this seems really familiar to me. I've seen this before. I've experienced this
And you're
before.
going to say this, and this is going to happen, and this is
Right,
going to
and then
happen,
then
and all of a
it's like,
sudden things start,
yes,
and it's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't happen all the time, and I cannot consciously control that. I'm not very. There's some people, that's how they do their predictions and dreams.
It may
My
not
dreams, yeah, mine are so varied that it's hard to tell.
it may not happen all the time, but enough to let you know that if you remember this time, how many others have you
Mm.
had that you didn't remember?
And it might
I mean,
explain the feeling of deja vu that we
mm,
sometimes get because, well, we probably saw it. We peeked into the future without really realizing it.
I wanted to discuss something else. And when you've been writing books, and I know you're a writer, have you ever used tarot for writer's block?
No, I haven't actually.
Really?
I never have.
It is
Mm-mm.
the most wonderful,
I'll have to try
amazing.
it because I
Okay,
never did
so
that.
we're going to write a
Yeah.
book together right now.
Oh, I'm
Come
going
on,
to do it right
come on,
now.
come on.
I'm going to pick. We're
Oh,
going to do a reading for a
we're
book.
going okay, you're going to start it. I want you right now to do a shuffle, the three shuffles. What are
All
we going
right.
to write about today? You and I.
All right. I don't have a pencil handy.
That's all right. We're just doing an
Okay.
example.
Well, let me think about it. Okay. Let me just. Okay. What is Anne Marie and Joe going to think about? What are they going to write about today? What is well, the first card is the Fool, which is adventure and also to look where you're going.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Oh, well, that's kind of weird. Death is the present
Yeah.
card, upside down.
Okay.
Actually, it's
But that would be stagnancy, wouldn't it?
yeah, it is. It's like, oh, I guess maybe that's symbolic of me not really having a thought in my head about the book thing, you know.
No,
But
no. I
I
would
do
say
see success though, represented by the chariot. It means that we're going to be moving forward with this.
okay, this is the
So
way I would decipher that. If I were saying,
yeah,
what do I want to write about today? What should the theme of my book or my blog be?
okay,
It should be about what happens when you go from the characters go from free, fun loving, having a great time, to all of a sudden each finding themselves in a character plot that sets them into what happens when maturity sets in, and boom, they get stuck into stagnant situations. So then the chariot would be which one of those characters, this is the way I would say that the book could lead to how do you get out of that rut?
hmm
Which person in this character comes out the theme comes out from childish to stagnancy to learning how to achieve and be a winner. So that would be like the kind of the basis. Now, I'm going to do
yeah.
the
Well,
one.
actually, it's a basic plot for many stories that we always
Yeah.
start out with characters that are happy and free, and then they go through this change.
Exactly.
And
So, okay.
they're in a situation, and it could be horror, it could be suspense, it could be intrigue, it could be a
ab-
romance, love. Something happens where everything changes, and they have to deal with it. And then at some point, there's that resolution where your characters grow and they change. And actually, those are the most satisfying stories, is when the character goes through this growth and
Right.
becomes a different, a better, improved, wiser person at the end, towards the end of the story, or at some point, so they could deal with these issues. That's like the basic character plots,
So
really.
if I
Yeah.
look at what should my lead character be like? So I'm going to do this one, and so we've got the plot, or we've got the basic plot, which is, and the lead character that comes up in mine says, a great communicator, somebody that has either a con ability to be able to to convince others of this winning, convincing, almost con artist type personality, or a great communicator could be that the person in the lead person in the book is going to be about this person who finds that through their ability to communicate, who knows what they become. That would be. So give me another character.
Well, I pulled up the Emperor, and he's inverted. And so I'm seeing somebody who has a lack of maturity and self-control in the beginning of the story. This is the
Okay.
person that will go through changes later on. And sometimes the characters do start out as being brats or people who are just screw-ups, and then they go through, they're forced into a change. So I could see that. I see somebody that could be a bully, who
Mm.
starts out being an unsympathetic character that we grow to, that grows to change, and someone that we can eventually understand, at least, to keep our interest. Because it's
I
very hard to read a story with a main character we despise, because we like to be able to relate to them in some way, on
I
some level.
I have a third character in the book, and this person comes out as somebody that is a gifter, somebody that spends a huge amount of money on other people, but it's all about empowerment for themselves. They come out as the martyr, the person that's always getting everybody else something wonderful, but in the long run, it turns out to bite them in the butt. So that's another character I have. So
Well, what I
we've got
drew was very close to that. I drew somebody who doesn't have a realistic view of the
Mhm.
world. Somebody who needs structure and discipline, but not somebody who doesn't see things clearly. Could be somebody who sees the good in everybody and is so good that they're blind to any evil that might be
right.
there, which is a cautionary tale there, where it's like, yes, it's wonderful to see only good, all the good in people, but you also have to be aware of the dark side, even in yourself.
Right. So
Yeah.
we've got a story now that's plot is about uh, free child or people that were free spirited. Three characters. One is seen as what was the first one? I can't remember. The second one was a great communicator, a con man. The third one was a gifter that blows all his money to be able to maybe make fabulous adventures for themselves. And what happens is when they all fall into their ruts in life, or
Okay,
their
so the plot I'm getting here is the plot will be a fight that will be
ah
won. A fight that they'll have a struggle, but they will win. But it will be a struggle that the reader won't be sure if they're going to win, but they are definitely going to win, because I pulled up the Seven of Wands, and it always shows the man fighting off a bunch of wands with one wand. So I see this as almost sort of like a Lord of the Rings thing, where we have this band of people, and there's all these huge armies that they're fighting, and they always seem to survive.
And it's
But
yeah.
either by flight or by fighting, and of course, realistically, it would be your ability to hide and to preserve yourself. So I would say that it starts off as people being afraid to say, speak up and challenge authority. And then something happens where they're all pressed into finally, standing up for themselves and not being afraid anymore. They might start off with fears and believing that they're weak, and then through the events of the story and by being pushed into action, they come to realize things about themselves and hidden strengths that they didn't realize that they had. And so then they prevail. They win at the end. It's a tough fight, but they do it. What do you think of that?
I think it sounds good. So that's an example of what people that are maybe have writer's block or want to write a story, but just don't know where to start. Your deck of tarot cards, and I have heard Stephen King has used tarot to develop his plots, and I have heard that John Steinbeck used tarot to develop character plots.
I've used them in stories. I've had characters go to, psychics, or I've had characters use tarot cards, but I've never used them myself to create a story, because how I write is that it's like the audio tape starts to play in my head, or the images start to happen like I'm watching a movie, and I get into this whole zone thing where it just seems like my only job is to type it out and to make it readable, for people.
Right.
And that sort of flow is really important to me, and that's why when I write, I really can't have anyone talking to me, because it's not like I'm just sitting there typing. I'm actually in this whole zone thing where I am listening. Well, it's not like I really am hearing it, but it's sort of like it's all happening in my head. It's like sort of like the movie in my head that is sort of on a perpetual roll, and it's maybe it's something that I'm tapping into and grabbing. And yeah, there are times when I totally don't have that feeling. And I once I agreed to write a short story for Spec for a magazine, and it was tough because there were many restrictions, and so really I really had to just sort of, I felt it was a convoluted story, but they liked it, so I got paid, and that was great. But it wasn't one of those stories that I look at and say this was something I liked, because it didn't come from that source. So on the days I don't have that feeling, I don't write. I do other things instead. Because I figure, well, maybe I just need to stop thinking about it so hard. And then sometimes in the middle of the day, a solution comes to me. All of a sudden, for instance, I wrote, with the first book I wrote, I decided to make some changes, and I wasn't sure how I was going to make it work. And I wanted to use a character in this final last chapter of the book, a certain character, and I wanted to create an effective deus machina, which is when events, it's called God of the Machine, really. It's Latin for God of the Machine, and it was used frequently in very old Greek plays where when all hell is breaking loose, all of a sudden one of the gods comes down on a chair and says, okay, I'm going to fix everything. Well, I didn't want it to be that silly. I wanted it to make sense, so the reader would go, oh, that's why, So I didn't know what to do, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the day, after just giving up for a few days and doing my housework, it just hit me, and it's like, oh, I have it. And I wasn't even thinking about it. It just all of a sudden, boom, there it is in my mind. It was wonderful. But I've never used tarot cards though for that. I mean, I think I will try that next time for the next time
you ready
my
to
next
take some
story.
Calls? Are you ready to take some calls?
Certainly, yes. Yeah, here we are.
Okay, I don't want them to leave. So I want to say we have Donna from Phoenix, Jan from L.A., Anita from Arizona, Debbie from Pennsylvania. We have Joseph from Tennessee and Linda from Pennsylvania.
Okay, who do you want to go first?
Well, I'm going to go with the first one on our list, and I believe I know who this is. Hey, Donna, how are you today?
Hi, Donna.
Hi, how are you both?
Good.
Oh, great.
Donna, I had given you a message reading last week, didn't I?
Yes.
Was that one
Yes.
of those that towards the end?
Yes,
Yes,
it was the one where she had some your
my husband had
child
just
died, right?
Oh.
Yeah, my son was murdered, and you wanted me to call back in to see if we can get in touch with Bobby this time.
Yes, and Joseph, if that's all right, I'm going to finish that message reading for her, and then I'll let you go for the next one. Okay? Would that be
Certainly.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's. Are you going to?
I'm going to do a message reading on her child. And what was the name of your child again?
Bobby.
Bobby. Okay. And then could you say his name one more time?
Bobby.
Thank you. And so if I look at a message reading from Bobby, and can you tell me how old Bobby was?
He had just turned 17 10 days before.
Wow. Okay. So, Donna, here's what comes through. It says confusion. Bobby would tell you that he feels as if the confusion that was going through his mind at the time that it was happening was not near as wonderful as the euphoria and the bliss that happened as he left this earth. That he feels at this time that he wants you to know his spirit is happy, that he wants you to know that in the past, for whatever reason, he felt that things were holding him back, that there was a sense that for some reason it shows was not able to I don't know what this is about. It's as if something was holding him back. It shows his passion was not able to express itself the way that he had wanted it to. And he misses the fact that he cannot be with you. He misses the fact that he didn't have a chance to have a full life. But on the other hand, I believe that he is content. I believe that he is happy, and I believe that the confusion that happened when Bobby was murdered was something that maybe was so completely confusing and sudden for him that he didn't have time to truly process it as much as he did to experience the next stage of leaving this earth into the euphoria. So all I want you to know is that what comes through is that he's very, very happy, and that he wants you to be, and that you deserve nothing but the best, Mom. And that it says let go, Mom, and to understand that he's happy.
Thank you.
And Joseph, did you have anything to add to this?
No, I saw the same things. The confusion and not realizing what had happened. That happens in these cases when lives are taken. But I also saw that there was contentment at this present time, and acceptance, and a lot of love. I saw that there was regret at the loss of life because of that, but then there was the acceptance of, oh well, then it is really okay. It really is okay now, Yeah. And actually that is common with some people, with many people that I hear, where if they're with somebody who's dying and the person's in a lot of pain, all of a sudden there is this, wow, it really is all right. And he really is all right. He really is. Yeah. He's and as we've talked about often, they go into another dimension, and some have said that it's very much like this life, only it's a lot nicer, but it is another existence that is a reality for them that we don't understand, but they are there, and every now and then they come through that wall. They're able to do that.
Do you
And
dream?
so,
Do you dream
if you
it?
do dream of him, that is communications, and that's
I
assurance
haven't had
for you, you
I
know.
haven't had a dream with Bobby in many, many years.
So that
Yeah,
must mean that he's completely moved into his happiness and
yeah.
his contentment.
And sometimes
And can I tell
they
you guys?
reincarnate,
She's trying to.
sometimes.
She's. Yep. What'd you say, Donna?
I'm sorry,
Uh,
hon.
um, to tell you guys what the dilemma was with Bobby being able to express himself. Bobby couldn't read. He was dyslexic.
So when I
Okay.
saw he couldn't communicate or couldn't the
Right.
That
way he
explains
wanted.
He was
the confusion, yeah.
right.
But of course, that
He
was
was
something that was his body here on Earth, and now, I mean,
right.
after death, it had all changed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's irrelevant to him now, but there is that memory of that when he was here. There was the confusion, and dyslexia is confusing.
Yes.
Um, it's tough to overcome.
But you
But
can because my
yeah.
my sister is a teacher, and she is dyslexic, and it took her a long time to get through college, but she is an outstanding teacher.
Yeah, they have to learn to get around it, and if you catch it early enough,
Right.
there's a lot of hope. But it's still it's difficult. Everything's turned around, and everything the words and printed words look like gibberish, and of course we all know that. Now, the reason why sometimes we stop dreaming about the people, we don't really feel them anymore, is that they reincarnate after a time if they so choose. The time spans vary for all sorts of different people. Sometimes they don't come back for some time. Sometimes they might wait a century or two, and other times they come
Right.
back within a few years. As somebody else to
Right.
do another life that doesn't involve us. But of course, we might actually bump into them, and they might be that person that we feel that we know, but even though we don't really know them now. But everything is all right with him now.
Yes. Thank you, Donna.
I know. Thank you so much. Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to go to Jan from LA. Hello, Jan. How are you?
Hi, Jan.
Hey, how are y'all doing? I'm
Doing
just
good.
calling in. I'm just calling in to get a reading of what you might see for me coming up in the next 3 weeks. Anything that comes up.
Jan. What's coming up for Jan? I'm not happy with the shuffle I just did. I'm going to do it one more time.
Is it warm where you're at, Donna? Or excuse me, Jan? Jan?
I almost did a
Yeah, no,
52
I'm here.
pickup there for a second.
I was trying to fill in the silence there.
I see that, Jan, you've always had this wonderful personal integrity and fairness, and you've always been a very responsible sort of a person. Perhaps that's something has been how you are your whole life. Perhaps even as a kid, you had responsibilities, and you were seen as a very responsible person. It kind of comes natural to you, even though you don't realize that you're probably someone that is frequently left in charge. I see at the present time you kind of feel like you're bottoming out. Perhaps there's a little bit of a trouble going on at the time. It's advised that you don't at this point decide to become the victim or the helpless person, because you're not a helpless person. There are lots of options, and I'm seeing some conflicts here at the present time, but it seems like no matter how careful you're being, there's always some little fire you have to put out. And I do see that it's that there has been some setbacks. And it doesn't look, and you might have this very bleak view of things right now. But I would say, to remind you that you have strengths and that you are going to deal with it in a responsible way, like you've always have in your past. And I want to remind you that this is not the time to be hurt and to be a victim, because you're not. You have a lot of strength, and you face your issues head on, and you'll be fine. Does that make sense to you? Am I hitting anything here that is in sync with what's going on?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because I'm seeing as a solution coming to you, it will be a creative approach that might be unusual. So don't be afraid of creativity. I'm seeing an encouragement here that to fix a problem, you need to think outside the box and to do something unusual that might be unconventional. And that would be your solution. Okay.
Jan, when I look at what's going on, the first thing that comes through says that you went through from kind of a tough spot to then doing reactive stuff where you kind of maybe went back to something or a certain kind of behavior that you could have kicked yourself in the butt for doing. And your reading says now you've got a grip on yourself again. So you kind of went from stupid to getting yourself very, maybe completely on the other side and getting real cautious. And now you're getting in balance. Now you're getting in sync with yourself. But your reading says, watch out for the time frame of 9, and I don't know if that's 9 weeks or if that is 9 months. 9 months, it would be August. So it says, be careful of feeling it is your responsibility to be supportive and throw out money at family members or maybe be careful of your own spending. And remember that right now you're on top of your game, but it could fall backwards again if you start getting too comfortable. So if you've got someone around you, a child or somebody in your work area that's been kind of giving you a hard time, and you're starting to feel like things are going real well again, and you've got a grip on things, prepare yourself to be cautious. Don't be throwing out any money or thinking something's hunky-dory. That's an old term. But remember that just be cautious. And I saw the same thing as Joseph.
Yeah, I'd say, it's like I want to emphasize the creative approach provides solutions in the near future. Things you haven't thought of before, haven't considered. You might think, oh, that's wild, that's not going to work. Well, sometimes those way out things really do work.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, okay. Thanks, y'all. That sounds
great.
If I look at our little switchboard again, I'm going to go to a InQuick, and we have an InQuick from Gwen from Boston. It says, hi, Joseph and Anne-Marie. Do you have a message from Sister Angela? She passed on February 2015.
Sister Angela.
So looking at that, and do you mind if I take this one first, Joe?
No, I don't mind. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, Gwen, when I look at what comes through from Sister Angela, it says, she says she's happy for you. She feels as if you need to know that there are certain things that you talked about growing up that she feels that you're starting to accomplish. And she is, even though not with you, she wants you to know that she's accomplished some things too. There's a sense that she feels that one of the things that she worries about is any arguing or battles that you may have had together in your life, and that she wants you to know that if she ever said anything that was not respectful or seemed argumentative, and that she didn't believe in you, she wants you to know that that was just stupid, and that she really truly loves you. And one thing she loved about you is your patience, and she wants you to know that so what if neither of you definitely turned out exactly like you said you were going to? So what? Because basically she feels all of that is just material stuff. We're all going to the same place, she'd say, sister. And right now, the main thing is don't let the little things get you down, because she's happy and she's proud of you. So that's what comes through. What do you have, Joe?
I'm seeing that there's a message telling her that she needs to be to watch her consumption and indulgences. I'm seeing moderation and being suggested. Because of a restlessness that you currently feel, the message is try to indulge with moderation. Don't overdo on the food or the drinking or anything else, or the partying or anything like, say, if you're a collector and you have to have a whole bunch of depression glass. That's all this. Anything that could be seen as an addiction or an overindulgence is you're told to watch it and to moderate it better. I'm also seeing that she is encouraging you to be a little more lenient towards others. The King of Wands is part of the message, and it can signify a man in your life also, who has a great deal of energy. That's a good omen in regard to love, because this is an energetic, kind, and warm person. So you're encouraged to think about this person if he's currently in your life, and to try to be lenient and understanding of this other person's personality, and or it could also mean that she's telling you that this is a person soon to enter your life. Especially if you have been looking for love, you are soon to meet this King of Wands, who's a hardworking person, and he's been through a lot. So he's not, he's not naive, That's what I'm seeing.
Yep, I would say the main message that I'm getting, and Joseph is getting, is that watch out for yourself, sister, because the indulgences and the kid in us when we were growing up is something that is maybe something to be proud of, that you had that innocence together, but just remember that the same kind of, I don't want to say ending, but she's just saying move into wisdom and be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
And mainly also, if you ever felt like she didn't appreciate you, she totally did, and she just wants you to know that she's there for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go back to our room, and we're going to go to Anita from Arizona. Hey, Anita, how are you?
Hi, Anita.
Hi. I was just wondering if you could. I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, great.
I want to tell Joseph, we've got to Anita and Debbie, but we'd only have 7 minutes. So
let's vamoose.
Go ahead. Go ahead and give me a brief of what you have.
Okay. Thank you, baby.
Anita. Let's see what's in store for Anita. I'm seeing, Anita, that come through a difficult time in your recent past, sort of a nightmare of sorts. And if you feel like you're still in it, I just want you to know that that's a matter of the past, and it's going to go away very soon if it hasn't already. But it's fairly recent, and even if it wasn't recent, it is something that's still on your mind because it's come up in your recent past. I'm seeing at the present time that there's a sort of ruthlessness going on in your current situation, whether or not you or somebody else is involved in being a little underhanded maybe to get ahead, maybe perhaps not being ethical regarding certain things. So it's a reminder to really be considerate of those around you and to be fair, as like at work or especially in business. It's something that you have to stop and realize, maybe I did something good for the company, but I've been really nasty to somebody else. So you want to consider, or maybe you're unfeeling or hadn't considered, the ramifications of maybe, firing somebody or doing something like that. I am seeing that in the future, you're going to take on more of a knowledge-seeking role, a spiritual time is coming up for you, that's symbolized by the hermit, in which you're going to be looking for life's answers or taking a closer look at things. So I do see that you're coming through this evolution, of reaching this understanding. That's what I see happening.
Anita, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to keep this short. What I'm shown, honey, is that your patience level is going to pay off in the future. There's a sense that you've been having some dreams or some goals that are kind of taking you a little out of your comfort zone, and that's a good thing. It says attitude is everything. When you allow yourself to quit analyzing and you allow yourself to quit trying so hard, you're going to notice this summer that things just kind of slip in by themselves. So all I'm saying is you don't have to worry about a thing. I think that things are going to happen for you fine. Just don't try so hard, and you're going to find that going with the flow makes things happen quite quickly for you.
I also see that you're gonna meet somebody who's going to share some wisdom with you, and it's going to help a lot. So be open. Be open.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, hon. So we're going to go to Debbie from Pennsylvania. Hey, Debbie, how are you?
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Anne-Marie and Joseph. How are you?
Great. What's going on, Deb?
Just something quick for me. I know you're out of time. Just something what you see around me.
Okay. Whatever's around. A lot of static behind you, big girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, want to say?
Well, I'm seeing that at the current time you feel like the victim. At the time, it's maybe there are things in your life currently that are causing a lot of stress for you, and you're feeling kind of like you don't know what to do. But I do see that your creative goals and that you're going to get through it, in a creative way. I see a lot of things being completed and accomplished. If you stay on the current road that you're on, I do see it all working out. Just at the time being, it doesn't look like it's going to be. But this is in the near future. In the near future, it's all going to be just fine. It seems like you're going to be able to reward yourself for some success. I'm seeing the number 4, so it could be 4 weeks, 4 months. Certainly not 4 years. It's coming really soon. That's just that I'm seeing that right now. It seems like there's a lot of trouble. There's like little things. It could be little things. It could be big things. It could be finances. It could be your relationship. It could be your home life. But you're going to get through it just fine. You're going to reach your goals just great. But,
Debbie, what I have shows that your magnetic personality is your greatest blessing. It's also saying that you have the ability to gain trust and faith from people very easily. The problem is you're not always you work around a lot of idiots. And no matter what, you're going to find that sometimes people love to death your magnetic, trustworthy personality, and then turn around and act like they are cold and have an attitude. And you're encouraged.
They use this quality in you.
Yes,
For their own goal is what it is.
Right. Right.
But soon your own goals are going to take center stage. And
okay.
I'm sorry, Anne Marie, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Shut up, Joe. All right.
I'm sorry. It came to me when you said that. It's just like, well,
Debbie,
yeah.
Joe, we gotta go. we've got 1 minute and 51 seconds. Debbie, we'll see you later, hon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Joseph, and we didn't get to Joseph that was in the room today, so Joseph we didn't get to, but I do want to say, how can people reach you at Keen?
I'm listed as the Lantern Bearer, and also that's the same title I use on Facebook as well, where we can, hang out if you want. But if you want a reading, go to Keen. I'm Joseph Onking as the Lantern Bearer.
All right, Joseph Lantern Bearer, and we'll see you again real soon.
Okay.
Can you say, main thing is that I was going to say do the prayer, but the light's flashing green and it's going to go into yellow, and I don't want to catch you in the middle of a sentence. So
that's all right.
See you next time, buddy.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Odell at Achieve Radio's Tarot Joy. Come on upstairs. Grab yourself a tapestried pillow and get a down-home, honest reading with 30 years Master Tarot channeling experience. In addition, I will have a weekly spiritual guest from around the world. That's 2 readings per call for you. After the show, I invite you to come on over to thecallingoflight.com. I offer PayPal readings at 15-minute or 30-minute sections of time. All yours. To thecallingoflight.com.
AchieveRadio.com.
What if there was a universal sound that could resonate our physical body and our chakras? What if this sound could actually change our DNA and bring about a quantum leap in our evolution? What if this sound were a name that had been known by the ancient mystics and then lost for over 2,500 years? What if this name, when collectively sounded, had the ability to change the very fiber of reality, allowing miracles to occur? Now you can discover the power of the lost sound of God through the new book, The Divine Name, by Healing Sounds pioneer Jonathan Goldman. With a foreword by Greg Braden and a free instructional CD, this groundbreaking new book can take us to a new level of evolution. Go to www.thedivinename.com and discover the Divine Name.
The oldest and most trusted station of its kind in the world. This is AchieveRadio.com.